What up, guys? So, we have a special guest on here tonight. Obviously, I got myself, Jason Guyman, with ChristmasLights.io. You can go check out that. We got Donovan on the other side there. But we have a special guest here tonight, is Patrick Walker. He is done very well for himself in the groups and not in the groups. He actually, I think, hates the groups or get kicks out of them or something
I'm an
along those lines.
outlaw, Jason. Outlaw.
He's the outlaw. Yeah, that's the outlaw. So this is going to be a good night. Definitely going to be some information. Patrick's got a little bit of way of different thinking, and he's big scale. Not a lot of people I know probably as big as you are in the industry of being successful at the end of the day. So tell me just a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? That kind of stuff. If you have any family, kind of your backstory.
Yeah, I'll give you the 30-second cliff notes. My name's Patrick Walker. I own and operate P. Walker Incorporated. We are a Christmas light installation company based out of Gig Harbor, Washington, about 45 minutes south of Seattle, Washington, to give you a kind of a geographical reference. I'm married to my wife, Laura. We've been together for 17, married for 14. I have two kids. I have a 10-year-old daughter named Monica, not a 6-year-old son named Hunter. And, those guys keep me busy around doing all my Christmas light stuff. And then in the summertime, I do run a fishing charter operation in Westport, Washington, which is about a 2-hour drive west to the coast from where I live. So that's the kind of quick where I came from, what I do, and all that fun stuff.
Awesome. So, what got you in the Christmas light business?
I got into the Christmas light business, Jason. I grew up in a little small town, and my grandfather was a retired military guy. And he was one of those guys that, every year was on the news, had 45, 50,000 lights in his yard, had a little canned food donation thing that was sitting down in front of his house. And there's videos of me out there helping him at 5, 6 years old put the lights up on his house. What that turned into is I was 9 or 10, I believe, and he took me up to the PX, which is on Joint Base Lewis McChord. The PX. I haven't been there in obviously 30 years, but PX, and he bought me $500 worth of lights and extension cords and told me to start doing my parents' house. So that turned into a thing where I lived right across the street from my grandparents, and my parents' house just started growing. I would mow lawns all summer. I would do whatever I could do to make money to keep buying more Christmas lights to put up on my parents' house. So fast forward 7 years from there, I was a sophomore in high school. My parents' house had close to 285,000 lights on it. And this is back in the incandescent days. I mean, this is 285,000 lights, 3 separate 200 amp services that were plumbed into the yard to run all of this. Between my grandfather and I's house, we were doing close to 110, 115,000 pounds of canned food and donations from all the people driving through, and close to another 100 grand in cash donations. And so it got to the point where every year, the news would come interview us when we kicked the lights off on Thanksgiving weekend. And, I'm a 17-year-old kid, and I had a news reporter that asked me on that interview thing that night. She goes, "Have you ever thought of doing this for a business?" And at the time, I was 16 or 17, and I didn't have the hindsight to realize that, hey, there's people out doing this for money. Those lights didn't get into the mall. Those parking lots didn't get done by the property owner, right? But at 16, 17, I didn't really have the hindsight for that. So she calls me back that Monday after Thanksgiving, and she goes, "You have a problem." And I said, "Look, what kind of problem could I have?" And she said, "I got emails and phone calls from people that want you to come do their houses." So that is what spawned it for me. Those first couple of years, my dad was a landscape contractor, so that's what I grew up around. So we did it through my dad's landscape company, with all box store lights. I had no idea about any of the commercial spools. And, in 30 years, well, I guess 25 years ago, none of these vendors were around, I guess, maybe like they are now. You didn't have the light sources and the CDIs and the decor groups and the Reinders. You didn't have all of those because they, at least in my opinion and what I've seen, have come onto the scene and grown kind of as this whole industry has evolved, right? So you had a few guys out there. I don't really know who they were. But that was how I got started doing it for a business. By the time I was a senior in high school, which was 2 years later, we were doing about 75, 80 houses a year. My high school was letting me take Fridays off and run a program in our economics class about running a business and helping us do all the books and letting us have a community service kind of credit day every Friday in November, and the first week of December was employing a bunch of my buddies, and we were going and doing houses and charities and made it kind of like a school project. So that's where it started. I went to college, spent 2 years there, said I'm not really meant to be here, and hit the ground running and haven't looked back. So
that's a pretty awesome story right there. That's pretty amazing. I mean,
yeah.
just to figure out the electricity for your own house of having that many bulbs.
The side note to the electrical part of it, my uncle owns a pretty good sized electrical contracting company. So I was, working weekends and summers with my uncle, roughing in houses at, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, getting my apprentice hours and stuff. I'm actually an EL1, which in the state of Washington is what they call an administrator. So I technically have one side of P. Walker Incorporated is P. Walker Electrical, which is a registered electrical contractor in the state of Washington. Now, you don't need that to do the Christmas light stuff, as you guys know. But what it allows us to do on these bigger commercial projects that we take on is we get to be in charge of the power. And a lot of these facilities aren't set up for the kind of amps we need to run 3, 4, 5, 6 million lights, right? And
Right.
so what we get to do as another side of that is we get to draw up and be in charge. And sometimes we perform, or I perform, and sometimes we subcontract the electrical upgrades for these properties. But having that electrical administrator side of it allows me to be able to facilitate that the way that I want it done, for how I know I want the display wired and where I need power and where we're trenching to and where sub panels are and all that kind of stuff.
So one thing I'm going to hit on, because I know this is something that you don't do much marketing, and that's why I'm going to hit on this. But you had a thing when you was in high school with your grandpa in your house, and you have people contacting you to do jobs. And so that started right out of the get-go of, that's really a good marketing ploy no matter what you look at. Anybody that has, a couple 100,000 lights on somebody's house is just flat out amazing. I don't care who you are. To figure out all the stuff that goes along with it, that is amazing. So, I've done little projects, and it's, it can get, tedious and trying to figure out where you're going to do stuff, where you're getting power at, how, I started in 2014 with the inside, we actually went to LED for our C9s, but my incandescence wasn't. And, you're getting 5 strands per wire. And so now that means you got wires running everywhere to be able to supply that. And so when you have a awesome, amazing display like that, your phone's just going to blow up because of that. Because even back then, what did something like that cost to be able to run, a display like that on your own house?
I know that our power bill spiked about 15 grand for the holiday season at my parents' house.
Well,
it was close to 15 grand to run that display for 45 days.
Wow.
Yeah. And we would, and whether this is against the law or if there's any, IRS guys, we would take some money out of the donations. My parents kind of said, hey, we're not forking your $15,000 power bill. And, my grandparents would help out, and we would take a little bit of money from the donations and apply it, directly to the power bill. And the rest went to charities, Northwest Harvest and a couple other ones that we donated to. But Yeah, no, it spiked about 15 grand was for 285,000 incandescents.
So,
Quite a
have
bit of
you
money.
started your Christmas? Did you start your Christmas light business right after you got out of college, or was you actually
I
doing it through the
started
college years?
I incorporated P Walker Incorporated the day I turned 18 with the state of Washington, Jason. So, January, I think my birthday is January 17th, and I was a legal entity by January 30th of 2001. I was my own legal entity and up and running. And it's been the same company ever since.
Gotcha. That's pretty awesome. And so, how old are you now?
I will be 40 in January.
35. 35.
I'm
Yeah.
39.
40.
Yeah.
Yep.
When you hit
Yep.
40,
You're
that's
old
when things start falling
Both
off of
y'all.
you. So just get ready.
It's already falling off. My gut's getting bigger. I'm getting shorter. All sorts of stuff. I'm noticing it. My hair's getting grayer. Yeah. You're next, Donovan.
So
got
I
a
don't
few
know.
years, so my dad could eat a whole large pizza until he's about 42, and he didn't put
Oh, I
on any
still
weight.
can.
So
Yeah, no, I feel like shit the next day when I do it, though. You wake up, you're all tired, and it's the crust and the carbs and everything else, or the 6 beers you had with it. But at any rate,
yeah, no, I'm a $180 soaking wet, and I can't put on weight to save my life.
I'm 215 right now, and that's about the heaviest I've ever been. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're a little bit shorter than me and Jason too. I'm like that much shorter than Jason, so I could hold 225 just fine. But man, I can't put it on to save my life right now.
5'9.5" on a good day. So,
yeah.
So you obviously have grown your Christmas light business. What are some like high points that you've done throughout the years with your Christmas light business?
Jason, it was doing that crackling thing again. Will you say that question again?
So you've been doing the Christmas light business a long time. What are some things that you've done or have accomplished by running your Christmas light business? Are we going to lose you because it's windy? Hope not.
Yeah, probably.
He is in big wind up there.
So Patrick Walker's up in Washington State, and they got a big bomb cyclone or whatever off the coast for him. So he may jump back on here, but I'll brag on Patrick for a while without giving away any of his stuff. But Patrick's running 35 guys right now.
40. Oh,
and he hired a few more. So now he's up to 40 guys installing lights, and most people can't get help, 1 or 2 guys to help them out. One thing Patrick does is he holds everybody accountable. And his big thing, and you can see him in some of the groups getting on some of the new people when they ask these stupid questions. And yes, some of the new people's questions are stupid questions. But, he holds every single one of his workers accountable. He wants everybody to be a master of their craft and to be passionate about what they do. Obviously, Patrick is very, very, very passionate. And that comes across to everybody who works for him. And because he has these high standards, he holds everybody accountable. He makes sure that his team's passionate. He has teams that go out and install 5,000, 10,000 feet of lights in a day. And they do it independently of him. Hey, man, I'm just bragging on your crew a little bit and how you hold everybody accountable. Can you hear me?
You guys got me? Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot better.
All right. I can't hear you guys, though. You sound all crackly and broken.
I don't know why that would be.
Tell us about how you hire your people and how you get people to work for you for a while.
Guys, give me 5 minutes. I'm gonna drive about a half mile down the road and see if this service gets better. Give me just a minute. I'll check back in with you.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Oh, there we go. How about you were crystal clear right there? How's that?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just hold your mouth.
I just had to back down my driveway 100 feet.
Go like this.
Yeah. I'll get some tinfoil on my hat next and stand on the roof. All right.
So tell us about how you hold your people accountable and how you have help and how you keep 40 guys working for you and you don't have all the BS issues that everybody else does and what sort of standards you keep with your crew.
The way that I keep them accountable, you guys I've posted about him before, and he attendant, his name is Beto. Edelberto, we call him Beto. And he is the only reason I am able to do this still to this day. You guys there?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you, but your face ain't moving. There you went. All right.
We might have to get him back on here next week. I don't know.
Yeah.
So one thing, if he does get back on here and has good service, one thing I want to talk about tonight, Jason. What was your topic? What did you name this?
I just named it
I want to talk about.
Marketing, but because I know he don't market traditional. He's using, and that's kind of. But we'll talk about whatever.
Okay. One thing that I personally want to talk about is where the industry has come from and where we're going. Now, Patrick was around in 2007, 2008 when the economy took a big shitter, and his business has been successful through that. Now, Jason, you weren't around then. You started your business after then, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was talking to another very successful company owner today, been in business for 13, 14 years. And one thing that he and I were really trying to fine tune on what we could do as an industry to kind of keep ourselves afloat for the big crash that's coming is kind of being accountable to our craft. And that's one thing that Patrick Walker, really, really, really is good at. He's on top of his numbers. You don't see Patrick asking these questions about, hey, how do I do this? How do I do that? He's an expert at what he does, and that comes across. So right now, we are at a place where anybody can start a Christmas light business. They can watch a couple of videos. They can make a post on Facebook. They can get materials, and they can make thousands of dollars. Anybody can do it right now, and there's a bunch of guys out there that hey, Patrick, can you hear us?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, all right. I can't hear you guys at all. You're all scratchy. I don't know what's going on with this.
Yeah. Yeah, he's on his cell phone.
I'm on my phone, Donovan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's on his phone.
So where we're at right now is, again, anybody can start a business right now. You don't have to know a whole lot about what you're doing. You can kind of figure it out as you go, and you can be successful, and you can get clients, and clients are just throwing money at the Christmas light industry. But we are coming for a dip in the economy, and that's not. I mean, I don't want to be preaching doom and gloom right now. But I think come this December, going into January, everybody should really have a game plan on how our industry is going to stay afloat during this crash that's coming here in about a year or two. And it's going to be very close to the 2007, 2008 crash. With the amount of inflation that's going on and everything else, if it doesn't happen this upcoming season, then it's definitely going to happen the following year. That's sort of industry standards and stuff like that. So one thing when we're talking about marketing is we need to also be marketing to our customers that we're getting this year and getting them signed up, getting them on contracts, make sure that we're providing that professional service. And it's also, we can't just like fly by the seat of our pants, just do some basic stuff and expect somebody to, just to continue paying us year after year. I was talking to some business owners that haven't even sent out their contracts yet to get their customers to pay a deposit on this year's installs that are happening here in a few weeks. They just think, oh, well, the customers are just going to come back to me because that's what's been happening for the last few years. So I think as an industry, we're going to have to get serious on the business side of things, not just, hey, how do I hang a light? And well, here's what we're going to see next year. Next year, 30 to 40% of people who have a Christmas light business today will not be in business next year. It's going to get that tough. Materials, everybody's going to reorder. And there's either going to be only a few companies with materials like there are right now, or the market's going to be completely flooded with materials, and then it's going to be a race to the bottom. And what happens then is supply companies like mine, or even the big companies who have a lot of overhead, when we're selling a spool for dirt cheap, it's good for the installers, but then there's no profit left in it for the supply companies. And then the supply companies will go out of business. It happened. It happened in 2007, 2008. A lot of big companies, they overcommitted, and then with the large supply companies overcommitting on their order, and then 30 to 40% of your installers who've preseason bought stuff, they're going to liquidate. Supplies are going to be super cheap. The big supply companies are going to go out. And so, again, we're going to have it as an industry, have a game plan for retaining our customers so that we don't go out of business, so that the infrastructure that's been built up over the last 10, 15 years, even before Jason and I got in the business, doesn't just go away over the next year or two. And how that's going to happen is the education to the brand newest installer and to the seasoned installers of running a better business. So that's really what I want to talk about. So I'm happy to hop on here. Jason's happy to hop on here and just talk about, hey, how do you get your first job? How do you put a plug on a wire? But I'm just letting everybody know that the closer we get to December, we're going to start transition away from the how-to and the basics and how to get one or two customers, and we're going to start talking about marketing techniques of how to grow your business to a point where it's real profitable, how to build an actual business. So that's really what I'm passionate about. So if anybody has marketing questions, Jason and I'll go over it, but I just want to kind of plant that seed for right now that everybody needs to be thinking about. How are you going to stay in business when none of your customers have money? So it's something to think about.
But on the other hand, I want to hit on something too, because this is a luxury service, and this is a luxury service. So if we have customers that are living out of their means, then we're going to be that's why you're going to go out of business a lot of times. Because because they're not going to have that extra money to do this. And, that's why we do look for that customer within that certain range of where we are wanting to be. If you're down here in the $200,000 homes, those ain't going to be out there. And this is why, we charge premium, because we're not looking for the bottom feeders. We're not looking for that. This is why, I used to always say $6 to $8. I'm moving that up. I'm going $6 to $10 a foot, or I'm doing $8 to $12 a foot, even moving up that far. And, if we get those top end customers, we're going to be able to keep installing even if the economy does go bad, because those customers usually will still spend money. It's the lower end that don't even have the money at that point. We're seeing gas of, $5, $6 a gallon. Those are some things that can change things up, and prices of material is going up. And so, I see it all the time of, well, you can charge $4 to $6 or $5 to $6 a foot to get in the door. Well, if you want to get in the door to go out of business, that's a good place to start. But if you want to be in a business and not a job, then we need to be in that $6 to $10 a range foot. And yes, you're not going to close everybody. Even this year, you're not going to close everybody. You're going to close very few people. You're going to close 15 to 20%, maybe less if you're not very good at sales. And so these are definitely something that you have to remember when we are marketing to our customers. First off, who is our customer? And then we can go from there. If we don't understand about who our customer is, and we just try to throw mud up on the wall, and yes, I know I say throw mud up on the wall and see what sticks, but we got to find those customers that we want, not the customers that aren't going to pay, because those aren't the customers we want. We want the customers that are willing to pay us 2-3 years down the road, even if hard time comes. We don't know that hard time comes. I mean, there could be all kinds of things that could come. We can kind of project that probably crap's going to hit the fan eventually. But you know what? If we focus on that the whole time and we don't focus on what we can push through, then a lot of times we get, and I don't mean to get blinders on, but if we always are worrying about that, then that means we're not focusing on what we need to do now to make us a successful business. Because we thought there was a lot of people when 2021 or 2020 started, and they lost their jobs. They thought, I would never lose my job. I'm a safe guy. My job is protected. And a lot of people found out that their jobs aren't so protected at the end of the day. A lot of doctors and nurses and jobs aren't protected right now. And it's not even over a financial thing. But don't think that your job is so protected that you don't have control of that. The only way you have control of that is by you taking your thing that you need to do and start your business and run a business, and a successful business. We don't need to be running a business to the bottom. That's the last thing you want to do, because when time gets tough and we're running it to the bottom, there's nothing left. But if we're up here and times get tough and we come down a little bit, then we can yes, we might have to let people go. If we have employees, yes, we might have to do that. But as you're supporting your family, then you can keep pushing forward.
Yeah, I was chatting last week about a gentleman down in Texas. He has 1,200 houses that he installs on. His business model is to sell the lights at cost to his client, and then he makes a certain amount per hour, and he makes his money essentially just as a labor business. So he's not doing it like an all-inclusive type business. His margins are small, and he does a lot of houses. And he called me because he has 80 spools worth, so 80,000 feet worth of lights stuck on a shipping container somewhere. And he can't get lights to put up on houses, and he can't afford to buy lights domestically because prices have gone up so much. Because again, he sold them to the client at $1.50, $1.75, whatever. So his theory was get big so I can get my pricing down so I can charge less. And so a hiccup happens, like right now with our shipping crisis, and his whole business gets derailed. So he's paying 20 guys to sit around and do nothing. And he can't afford to pay double for materials, right? And so we've been preaching this all year about, if you can afford lights, go ahead and buy them now. But if not, sell at $8 to $10 a foot. And if the cost of a spool goes up $200, that's only 20 cents a foot. Jason and I have been saying that all year. And so now you go to Home Depot website right now, they're selling a spool for $750. You go to our website, we're selling a spool for $450 right now. So the cost on your materials went up $1. Everybody's giving you a hard time about your background.
He said I should change my background every time.
I think that's a good looking photo right there. Where'd you get that photo from?
I got that from Donovan, but that little wreath there, that looks like a little bitty thing. That little wreath is like
homeowner's wreath right there.
It looks like it needs some. It looks like it needs some Viagra or something to grow a little bit bigger.
I think it needs to be thrown away. But the point is, like, Jason and I have been saying this. We've said it for the last year. Charge premium because XYZ is about to happen, and that's what we're telling everybody again right now. I got a guy who just messaged me in the Facebook, he posted on the Facebook group, hey, how does this quote look? And I was like, you're going to lose money. I was like, you're not going to lose money, but you're leaving all your profit on the table. And then he private messaged me, okay, how does this look? And he raised his prices half of what I told him to do publicly. And I'm like, you're still low, right? So when you think that you are your customer, you're not going to charge what Jason and I are telling you to charge. And the reason why we're telling you to charge that is because it takes a lot of effort, a lot of marketing, et cetera, to get those premium clients. But when you get that premium client, they're willing to pay premium. And then your business can afford to overcome those bumps in the road. They can afford, if you're used to paying $200 for a spool and now you have to pay $400, it's no big deal. That's only 20 cents a foot. Who cares? You're going to make $2,000 on this house. Who cares if it costs you an extra $100 in materials?
So I love what Ryan posted on here. Ryan Lee, you know who I'm talking about. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Ryan Lee posted a thing on here that I'm going to pull it up here. I'm going to put it on the screen here. And it says, don't underestimate yourself. Set your prices like the businesses you want to be. Price like who you want to be. Don't price like you are your customer, because you're not your customer. We need to price to who we're pricing that if we lived in that $500,000 house. We're pricing if we lived in that $1,000,000 house. That's how we're going to price. We're not pricing to what we do, what I am, because I would never pay that. Donovan would never pay that, and so, but that's not who we're pricing for. We're pricing that if that's who we want to be. And when we price like that, things can happen and then we can grow a business, because, Patrick Walker was saying that his weekly payroll is $60,000. Now, do you think you can pay a payroll of $60,000 on nothing and paying that? No, you can't. And if you want to put up numbers like that, you got to be able to install, and you got to be able to do those things to keep it going. So I'm a sprinkler guy. Our stuff is way higher now, hard to sell around usually, but it's necessity to the right people. In 2008, we had a service customer keep us afloat. Nothing new, no new installs. And that's what you're going to have coming forward. You're going to have those 20, 30 good customers that are going to pay you to come back. And yes, you might not make as much money, but it's going to keep you afloat. It's going to keep you in business so that we can keep growing and keep going the way we need to go.
Yeah, and if you're starting out your business, it's even more important that you're premium.
Yep.
You can't spread out that cost over 1,000 jobs. You got to spread it out over 10 jobs. Your insurance, your this, your that.
So I did put how to get
market towards premium.
So how do we get those premium customers?
Everything Jason's ever told you to do it, right? So we're going to get our yard signs, our word of mouth, Google My Business, and Google Ads. Those are the big ones. All right. Word of mouth ain't going to happen year one. Okay. Yes, Facebook is great. Yes, LinkedIn is great. All those things are great. Will they work? Absolutely. Try them out. But make sure you're trying out your big four first. So yard signs, word of mouth, Google My Business, and your Google Ads. If you do nothing else, do Google My Business. And when I say do Google My Business, look up Jason's videos, because there's a whole hour, 2 hours worth of stuff that goes behind that. So fully deck out your Google My Business. Get you some yard signs that say Christmas light installer and a phone number. Put up 200 of those signs. You'll get some calls. And then you can get a few jobs landed. You're putting your money into marketing. You get a few jobs landed. You buy some materials. You buy some Google Ads. You do a post or two on Facebook, and you can see what works for you in your area. There you go. Look, there's a yard sign. That's all you need. Christmas light installers. That's all you need right there. I would put an area code on it, because right now, at least in my area, we're running out of area codes. So where I live, there's 2 or 3 area codes just for Raleigh.
Yeah.
So I would put an area code on there, but that's all you need, and then you're going to go and you're going to see my pictures that have this fancy sign with light bulbs on it and shit like that. And then you're going to go try to duplicate that. And you don't understand, why I'm doing that, and it's not going to work for you. I'm doing that for the picture. That's why I'm doing that. I'm not doing that to get clients. I'm doing that for the picture. So, listen to what Jason's saying. Keep it premium. Keep it ridiculously priced compared to what you would ever pay, right? Google My Business, yard sign, word of mouth, and your paid Google Ads. If you're not a Google ad expert, hire one. Hire Jason to set up ads for you. Hire somebody who manages them full time. Jason doesn't manage them full time, but he can set them up for you. That's sort of like a budget route to go. Or pay somebody who will actively manage them for you. Don't go onto Google and try to set it up yourself if you've never done it before and throw $500 at it, because you'll get 2 calls from people who aren't interested, and it's going to cost you $500.
And that's the big thing. You can make a lot of money off of signs. I know a lot of people, and they still work today. I know Jeremy Main he said he put out a bunch, and his phone rings, and it's how'd they find you? Yard signs, yard signs, yard signs, yards, and he's paying people to do his Google ads, but he's getting more return off his yard signs than he is off of his Google ads, And so, your Google ads are very important. Your Google ads are not, I'm sorry, your yard signs are very, very important, and them are something that will get you business.
This guy right here is Jason.
I'm Jason right here.
Jason. Hey, Jason. Hey, man. Somebody knew me who didn't know you.
That's what it looks like. The short guy on the left.
I just gotta go like that. Oh man.
But let's like you were saying, Donovan, to get customers, if you think you're going to get a website and it's just a website ain't going to do crap for you for your first year or two, and your Google My Business is actually what's going to make your website rank eventually. So that's why, Google My Business is important. We get those 100 pictures up there. We start getting reviews. We start doing the things that we need to do there. Yard signs. Go put 300 to 500 yard signs out. It will make your phone ring. I guarantee it will make your phone ring. And so go put yard signs out. I have in the first years, I do know people that have done Facebook and have gotten quite a bit of jobs off of Facebook. And so that's another free thing you can do. Now, does it take time? Absolutely. Absolutely takes time. It does take time that you got to go out there and do that time, because it's not just going to happen right out of the gate. And so you do have to take the sign. So yes, you can go to moneybushes.com and it will take you to a great site that you can buy about 300 signs or 100 signs for about $350. So I will put it here. I meant to put that up on my thing, but I forgot. But moneybushes.com will take you there. So go check that out.
And you actually got to put out the yard signs. You can't be like my employees and just leave them at the shop.
And that's back to taking action. When we take action, we have to take actions. We have to. It is nice to get yard signs, and we have big piles of them in our garage, and they make nice foot stops and footrests. But that's not where they're going to make money. You got to go put them out. You got to go put out 25 signs. You got to go put out 100 signs. So those are things you got to do.
Let's see.
Yeah.
We got yard signs. So
they don't make no money there.
All right. But I'm practicing what I'm preaching, okay? I'm not just saying this to blow steam up your butt, but here's a yard sign. Down there, I got yard signs for my gutter cleaning and power washing business. Those orange and red ones look exactly like the one that Jason put up there. It says it's a phone number and it's a, gutter clean. It just says gutter clean and a phone number. So I'm not, Jason, has sold his business, but I'm actively building my business right now. I'm not telling people to buy something from a link because I get in a fit. That's not what we're doing, right? I promise you, this is how we're doing it. My story, for those of you guys who don't know, is this is only really my third year doing Christmas lights. I played around for a year and tried it out, but then this will be my fourth season. My first real season, or my first year I tried it out, we did about $15,000-$20,000. I did all of that just through making a few Facebook posts. Okay, I sold 8 jobs or 10 jobs, something like that. And my average ticket was $700. I didn't charge premium. I did do a lease model, but I didn't charge premium. And I did the first 100 foot of a house for $399 special. Okay, so I didn't listen to Jason. My average ticket was $700. Now, year 2, I decided, all right, I'm going to get serious about this. I'm charging premium. I'm going to do invest in Google ads, yard signs, and everything like that. I did $83,000, but that was my first real season. And our average ticket went up to $1,700. And then my third season, which is my second real one, we did right at $250,000. So, this is stuff that y'all went through clipping, didn't you? Yeah, you're just trying to stir the pot, I think. No, I did not go through Clippa. I'm not a big Clippa fan. Um, Clippa's a great organization, but it's just not for me. They do great training. They're awesome people. But this it's just not my cup of tea. Um, but yeah, so but that is my story. Those are my real numbers. If you go to our Facebook group, which is Christmas Light Contractors, and search my name, Donovan Questenberry, I actively share jobs that are closed, our quoting process, pictures of signs, pictures of Google ads and stuff like that. So we're all very transparent. And our goal is to have the industry succeed at a high level and have people run a profitable business. I am so passionate about that because that's what Jason helped me with. Okay. I don't know. I'd love it if I had the title of his most successful student, but I don't know if I've earned that. I'm probably pretty close. But, I know what premium pricing has done for me. I do got this big ass warehouse here for those of you guys who haven't seen it. So we got this big warehouse here now. So we got like 8,000 feet. We do training here. I got all my Christmas light stuff. There's a motorcycle. I got lights all over the place, right? So none of this would have ever happened. I couldn't grow my business like this if I hadn't been charging premium pricing, right? Let me show you this pretty cool training area we got back here. So now we kind of teamed up with Jason. And so we do some training back here. There's a wreath for you, Jason. Let's see, where's it?
This one.
That's a pretty cool wreath right there. That's an 8-foot tall wreath. But here's our training area. So we got roof lines in here. We got all this fun, cool, and stuff where we can come do training. This thing cost me probably 10 grand to build out what's here, and it's not even finished. There's no way that I could have done that just with charging prices that aren't just extremely premium pricing. I've sunk over $100,000 in this place this year, and that doesn't include rent for putting on a little training center for everybody. Right? And so if you ever want the potential of having a warehouse, having a place, and not running it out of your garage, you got to charge premium. You got to charge prices like you have these expenses and just put it in the bank. But if you don't charge for it, then you'll never have the option of getting it.
Yeah, because sometimes you got to get rid of money, because that's why Donovan got the shop, was because he did do very well last year. When you do 250 and you don't have a lot of expenses at the end of the day, you got to do something with that money. Otherwise, Taxman is coming after you. That's just part of running a business. And I know we've seen people say, what do I do with the 3% credit card fee? That's part of running business. What about insurance? That's part of business. What about safety? It's part of business. And that's why we got to be at that $6 to $10. That's why we can't be to that $4 to $6 or even that $6 to $8. Because here's the thing. And then this is what I always hear. Get you some customers this year, and next year raise your prices. 9 times out of people will never raise their prices. They'll be too scared. I can't raise my prices. I'm going to lose customers.
It took me 10 years to raise prices. 10 years.
My lack of employees is holding my money down. And that's hard when you're working.
Your lack of this.
Yeah, mindset goes a long way. Because I know you said you got a full-time job up there, but that's part of what you got to do. That's what's your goals and how do you want to get past it. So,
well, and look, if you're an amazing business owner, right? You don't need to have 40 employees like Patrick Walker to turn a profit. You don't have to have as big of a business as Patrick Walker. Patrick Walker's been doing this for 20 years, right? You don't have to have that. Look, I could scale this business all the way down to one person working for me and one person answering the phone. So worst case scenario, that's myself working and my wife answering the phone. And we'll make $500,000 a year without any other help. That's not done with me having one employee working in the field and one employee working in the office. That's not the magic factor. The magic there is the business behind it. So, again, Yeah, you worked with a pitch hopper, just ordered a few yet. Yeah. So
Donovan loves the pitch hopper.
hey, the more I use it, the more I like it. Now, there's some things that I don't like about it, but I will say this: the more I use it, the more I like it. I think specifically for the pitch hopper, you maybe drill a screw, a long screw in it, and attach a twine, piece of string or something like that. And if you're going to work up a gable end, I think you need to work with two of them, and you need to have the lower one. You need to be able to have a string on it. That would make it a lot safer than trying to move it and step on the roof at the same time or whatever. So that's really the big adjustment I think that they really need to make, is have some sort of way to pull it up the roof behind you so that you can safely operate two of them in some situations. And then also, just please make sure you're tied off. You need to have a harness, and you need to have you need to be tied off to something. So, God forbid the foam comes off the pitch hopper. Even the goat tool had faulty rivets, and they had a big recall. Well, you don't want to be the one to figure out that the rivets are faulty, right? So, please just make sure you're tied off. And I'm not your mama, and I'm not OSHA, so I don't care. I don't care if you do or not. But do it.
I also don't want you to get hurt. And
Yeah.
I'm a big guy too, and I was on one on a 12-12 pitch on the little roof outside in the garage he has. It's a 12-12 pitch, and it held me just fine. So
Yeah, you were hopping around. You were sitting on there. I mean, Jason jumped up there with his full weight. So the way that their design does work. Now, again, you got to have your weight on them. You can't be pushing sideways, but you can't sit on the roof and rest your foot on it or push against it. You got to have your weight on it. You got to stand on it. And then they'll stay there. They'll stay there on a 12-12 pitch, and you can sit up there all day and have a phone conversation if you need to.
yeah. So how's the Christmas light industry going of selling Christmas lights to people?
It's a whole
The
new
supply
perspective.
side of things.
Yeah, it's a whole new perspective, and I'm gonna be pretty open. The Christmas light industry is like a whirlwind of hurt feelings and a little bit about installing Christmas lights and selling lights. So if you look back at the way things started, it started out as a couple big companies, and every couple of years they split into more companies, and then another couple of years they split again and split again. So there's a plethora of companies out there who can sell you lights, which is a great thing. It's a really good thing because the industry is growing, and we need multiple suppliers out there. But there's some companies that have gotten too big for their britches, and took a lot of people's money, and they didn't have any of their stuff arrive. I mean, one of the largest companies out there has probably lost some customers for life. And with us, importing and buying and stuff like that, it's been a really great time for us. I'm sorry to, it actually hurts me to see some of the larger companies struggling right now, because I'm a firm believer that the pie is ever growing. So I don't need to carve out my little piece of the pie, because the pie is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I feel that's accurate for the supply side of things. I feel that's accurate for the install side of things. But yeah, people are hurting. Now, I'm going to eat my words a little tiny bit and say one other thing. I've been saying all year that I think a lot of containers are going to be arriving here in a few weeks, and not to worry about supply shortages. I'm going to go ahead and call it and say there's going to be some supply shortages. I was a firm believer up until this last week that the big companies were going to get their big containers in, and that there would just be a ton of product out there right now. But I'm not seeing that happening. The big companies aren't getting the 10, 20 containers, come in all at once. Everybody's just getting one container here, one container there. And the moment they come in, I'm calling them and I'm saying, hey, is there any that you would sell to me? And they're like, we've already sold it all. So I'm going to go ahead and call it and just say, supplies are going to be a little tight from here on out this year. I think that, wherever you can get supplies, go ahead and pay whatever price you got to pay. Don't be price shopping, because I had a few guys price shop from us, And then they came back, and then I said, I'm sorry, we're out. We're air freighting stuff in right now, which means that we have containers that are supposed to be coming by sea that are stuck or whatever. So we're paying, for them to fly it in from China. So we're doing that, but that increases cost. And then, like even today, we had a pallet go missing. So we had $7,000-8,000 worth of inventory just disappear in transit, and that was a shipping company lost it. It's not like we lost it. So, yeah, Ewing is a great company, but Ewing's having Ewing has some issues right now with some of their supply. Here's what I'm going to warn everybody.
I hear this place right here that has some really good lights. It's called reallycheapchristmaslights.com. I hear that they are amazing customer service, and
and here's the thing about that company, all right? Their stuff that they sell you is in stock, and it can ship today or tomorrow, right? That's my company, right? That's Jason's linking you over to my business. Jason gets an affiliate, which is good for Jason. That affords him to keep doing these lives and bring the community, help bring the community together. So we are happy to pay Jason. Don't send all your money to a company who's promising you that a container is going to land tomorrow. Right now, if that container has not gotten released through customs and is on the way to your supplier, it ain't going to happen this year. That container is going to stay on that ship probably till January, and they ain't going to get it. So I don't want anybody giving their last dollar to a company that promises you, oh, it's on the way, and then you don't have money to go to somebody else and maybe pay a little bit more, but at least you can get it this week. So that's the only thing I'm gonna warn folks. There's a lot of companies out there who are getting a container here and there, so I'm not talking bad about anybody, but please, please, please just make sure that when you give somebody your money that they're going to ship it out the next day.
Just remember too, guys, and I know this is going to be hard, but when you're quoting, I know a lot of times people are going to wait to get that 50% down payment, but that's where you're going to run into problems of trying to find it. It is, and I'm not trying to, scare, but that's just the case. And this is another reason why we have to be, and this is another reason why we can use this to get to that $10 a foot. Ma'am, the supply chain is not there. We're having to pay way more because of the supply issues. And so this is why we are being so expensive, and a lot of the low dogs are going to go out of business because they're not charging enough. They're going to be literally working for free. And you're going to see people working for free because they didn't know how to quote. And so I don't want you to go out of business. I don't want you to have a job. I want you to be profitable. And yes, maybe product does go up a little bit, but it won't hurt you. If you're bidding that 8 to 10, 6 to 6, you're going to be kind of on the close end. But if you're into that 8 to 10 area, you can go up another dollar on product and it's not going to hurt you. At that 6, I'm at that $2 mark per product. But if I go up to 8, I can go to $7. I can go to $3 in product, and it's not going to hurt me when I'm trying to bid. And so, just be careful when we're out there. Make sure that you are bidding enough and doing it. And so, if you do need to get product, obviously you need to get your product. And so these are some things that we have to remember at the end of the day, because it is going to happen. I mean, we never thought this would happen, but it's going to happen. So,
well, and that's, again, it goes back to, if we can do one thing, if we can improve one thing that's going to impact the most with your business, it's charge premium. If you do that, that's going to fix so many other problems, right? So let's say you ordered a starter pack and it's your first year and you got one job sold or whatever. You bought one starter pack for a 1,000-foot pack. It cost you whatever it cost you. And then you go and you do a couple jobs for free for the advertising, or you go and you do whatever. You sold a job at cost because it's going to get you more referrals and whatever concoction, whatever lie you want to tell yourself. And then you go You finally sell one legit job, and then you go to buy another starter pack or you go to buy more materials and you can't. So now your season's done. Or you got to wait 2 weeks to get more materials in. It can't come to you tomorrow or the next 2 or 3 days. You got to wait 2 or 3 weeks. What you did is you filled up your schedule with cheap jobs or free jobs when you could have filled up your schedule with premium jobs, and after that very first premium job would have paid for another few packs. You didn't need to sell all 4 or 5. You didn't need to sell full 1,000 feet. If you just sell 100 feet or 200 feet of that 1,000-foot starter pack, you can afford to buy another starter pack. So that, again, if you charge premium, that could have solved it. Or you could go to Home Depot, or you go to Amazon. Look, you go to Amazon right now and buy a spool for $500. You go Ace Hardware down in Texas and buy a spool for $650. You can go to Home Depot right now and buy one for $750. Now, look, it's costing you $750. Let's say you got to spend another $1,000 or $2,000 on bulbs. So now you're up to $2.75 a foot in just cost. But if you're charging $8 a foot, who cares? I'll do that if I personally, Donovan Questenberry, if I run out of materials and I don't have it where I can buy it from my own supply business, I'll buy it from whoever. I don't care if it costs me $2, $3, $4 a foot, because I'm still making really good money and I can get it next day delivered to me.
Because his wife's selling it for, or his wife or his helper is selling it for $12 a foot.
Yeah. You need to get y'all one of them.
And that's what happened. You can make it at $12 a foot, and people think I'm crazy, but I'm not. That's it's available, and a lot of it is you just got to ask, and you got to be, and not only just ask, you got to be, you got to have that confidence that you got. It's the confidence behind it. It isn't nothing else. It isn't, I'm screwing these people. No, you're not screwing the people. It's about making profit. Yes, I might be one of those greedy profit people, but profit is what's going to grow your business. And when, like we was talking about in the beginning of the video, if you don't have profit and the economy does go, you'll be the first one out of business. You'll be the first one selling all your crap.
Yeah, let's say you lose half your clients, or you lose 2/3 of your clients, right? If you're a competitively priced, Donovan's wife is a gangsta. If you're charging cheap for lights and you lose 2/3 of your business, you're out of business, because that 1/3 isn't going to support the rest. You're not going to be able to feed your family and still grow your business. But at $8, $10, $12 a foot, like I'm at, I could lose them all. I can start, you know what I mean? I could lose half of them, and the half that I can scale my business down and it be profitable, and I can scale it up. And that's what we're talking about. A premium price business, you can scale it down and still be profitable. Literally, NC Christmas Lights, this one right here, it can be me and my wife, and we're still profitable. I don't need all the employees that I got, the 3 office ladies and the guys in the field and the helpers and the Zeke to pay ads and I don't need all that. And the 8,000 square foot, I don't need all that to be profitable. We're not Walmart. We're not trying to operate, on a 0.5% of profit.
Yep. So with all that said, I will have to try to get Patrick Walker back on here, hopefully. I also have a couple other people. I did get to go to GIE this weekend, or this past week. It's a big landscaping company. I got to see Mr. Augie. He was there with a booth. A couple other people was, so that was a lot of fun. But as we end tonight, again, I am planning on putting up more videos. I will have more videos coming out. Right now, I've been trying to get other things done. And so the videos will start coming out even for Christmas lights. I'm hoping that we actually got a new guy starting here in our area. DJ is going to do Christmas lights, so I'll probably get quite a bit of video off of him of going and doing jobs there and showing how to bid jobs and how to charge that $12 a foot, how to answer that phone. Them are the important parts. If you don't know how to answer the phone, it does you no good at the end of the day. If you don't know how to ask for it and have a good elevator speech, then it doesn't matter what I say here. Because that's what's going to grow your business. That's what's going to get you to be able to be financial freedom. And if you can get the financial freedom and get your bills paid off and don't have no debt, then that makes things life a lot easier too if the economy decides to go south. So, then we're definitely some things that you got to remember and keep pushing forward. Any last words?
Yep. Same thing I've been saying all night, right? My biggest problem last year in December, when I called you, Jason, in December, what was my biggest problem?
Didn't know what to do with all your money.
I didn't know what to do with all my money. I said, Jason, I know this is going to sound funny. I'm a little scared. So I made too much money at the end of the year, and I'm worried it's going to increase my tax liability, the percentage. When you make $100,000, you got to pay 33%. You make 70 grand, it might only be 25. I'm not an accountant, go check with an accountant, but that's the way it works. So if you make too much profit, that in the last little bit, the profit that you made at the end of the year is going to cost you more money on the money you made all year. So that's why I was scared. I said, hey, with the amount of extra money I made, it put me in a higher bracket, and I might not have the money to pay the taxes on the entire year's worth of income because, I just pay the $50 fine and I don't pay quarterly. So, yeah, definitely don't listen to me for tax advice. But that was my biggest problem, right? My biggest problem was, hey, I made too much money. And so I would love it if all my friends and everybody who takes my classes and everybody who calls me and the people who post in the group, they're like, Donovan, I got the same problem. I got too much money and I don't know what to do with it. You know what I mean?
And here's the thing too, guys.
That's the biggest problem.
Here's the thing too. If you do have that problem, you need to figure it out in December and not wait till April, because in December you can do a thing called tax planning. If you wait till March, April, then it's called tax fraud, and then you go to jail. And this is one thing that you go to jail for that you don't want to go to jail for. So if you've done well and you see that I got a large sum of money that isn't got nothing tied to it, then you need to go find a good CPA, not a bad CPA, but a good CPA, and do some tax planning.
Yeah, we were able to do some really cool things. We booked vacations for everybody, and we paid for it in December. For the upcoming year, we booked several vacations that were for our business, so they were to nice places. We booked conferences to nice places where, and so I went and did training. I was able to do a lot of really cool things, and we paid for it off the profits last year. And so it's like, instead of me worrying about how do I replace the starter in my truck? It was like, cool. Well, do we want to stay at Orlando for a week or 2 weeks on our business trip? That was a cool thing. So it's not just like the doom and gloom. I don't want you guys to think that's what the only reason why we're saying go premium. It's not for doom and gloom. Profit can actually be a really cool thing. And it's a mental decision, just like having enough employees or not enough or whatever. It's all up here. And if nothing else, if that's the only one thing, the takeaway that you get from tonight, I want you to just say to yourself all tonight, premium pricing means profit, and profit is good. Yep. And then if you get that as your mindset, then you'll figure out all the other details that go with it. And Jason and I won't have to keep coming on here yelling at everybody.
All right. Go check out ChristmasLights.io. That's where it'll take you to his Christmas light to buy Christmas lights. You can go to reallycheapchristmaslights.com, and that link will take you to the same place. So they're not really cheap. There's a thing in the group going on that there's the question of where do I buy Christmas lights, and everybody's got to be a funny guy. So I went and bought the domain.
Everybody said that my site should have been really cheap and crappy Christmas lights, and somebody else already bought the domain, so Jason couldn't call my site really cheap and crappy.
And that's too big, and people can't remember that. But really cheap Christmas lights, people can remember that. So, yeah. But again, we'll be back on next Monday night and having some more Christmas light talk. So see y'all later.